Nestled in the heart of a remote rural area, the village of San Esperanza was a place of breathtaking beauty but overwhelming struggles. Its children spent their days helping their families on the fields, their dreams limited by the harsh reality of their circumstances. The nearest school was miles away, a trek so long and treacherous that most families gave up on sending their kids altogether. One crisp morning, something unusual happened. A sleek black SUV rolled into the village square, kicking up dust and turning every head. Whispers spread quickly among the villagers, speculating who the visitor could be. Stepping out of the car was none other than Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, towering in both stature and charisma. The villagers were stunned. Some of the older kids recognized him from movies and began whispering excitedly, while the younger ones clung to their parents, unsure of what to make of the giant man with the big smile. Dwayne approached the village elder, shaking his hand warmly. "I've heard about the struggles your kids face," he said, his voice as steady as a mountain. "I grew up knowing what it's like to dream big, but feel limited by your circumstances. That's why I'm here. To change that." The elder, still processing the moment, managed to ask, "What do you mean, Mr. Johnson?" Dwayne crouched to meet the wide-eyed gaze of a little boy holding his mother's hand. "I mean," he said, grinning, "we're building a school right here in San Esperanza, and it's going to be better than anything you've ever imagined." The villagers gasped, disbelief and hope mingling in their expressions. Could this really be happening? The children, who had never dared to dream of desks, books, and classrooms, stared at him as if he were a superhero who had leaped off the screen and into their lives. Dwayne stood, clapping his hands together. "All right, let's get to work. We've got a lot to do." The villagers were swept up in a wave of excitement as construction trucks began rolling into the square. For the first time in years, the village buzzed with hope and anticipation, all thanks to the larger-than-life man who had decided their future was worth fighting for. The construction of the school was nothing short of a spectacle for the villagers. Bulldozers and cranes rolled into the once quiet square, bringing with them a sense of excitement and curiosity. Children crowded around the site every day, their eyes wide as they watched walls being erected where there was once only dirt and grass. Dwayne Johnson didn't just fund the project, he became a part of it. Dressed in a hard hat and work boots, he worked alongside the laborers, hauling materials and offering encouragement to the team. His larger-than-life persona didn't stop him from getting his hands dirty, much to the amazement of the villagers. "Look at him," one of the mothers whispered to her neighbor, watching Dwayne mix cement. "He's just like one of us." But it wasn't just his physical involvement that left an impression. Dwayne made it a point to connect with the children, sitting with them during breaks and listening to their dreams. "What do you want to be when you grow up?" he'd ask, and their answers ranged from doctors to engineers to astronauts. A little girl named Lucia, shy but curious, tugged on his sleeve one afternoon. "Mr. Johnson," she asked timidly, "why are you helping us?" Dwayne knelt down to her level, his warm smile softening her nerves. "Because someone once believed in me when I didn't believe in myself," he said. "And I promised I'd do the same for as many people as I could." As the weeks turned into months, the school began to take shape. A sturdy building with bright classrooms, a library, and even a small playground. The children's excitement grew with each passing day. They would peek through the windows, marveling at the colorful murals and rows of desks. "Do you think we'll really get to sit in there?" one boy asked his friend as they stood by the fence. "Of course," Dwayne overheard, and chimed in with a grin. "This school is for you, and no one can take that away." It wasn't long before the building was complete, standing tall and proud as a beacon of hope for the village. The day of the grand opening was set, and the anticipation was palpable. For the first time in years, the villagers felt a collective sense of pride and optimism. And yet, as much as they looked forward to the opening, no one could have prepared for the surprise Dwayne had in store for them. The day of the grand opening arrived with clear skies and an air of celebration. Villagers gathered in their finest clothes, children wore their brightest smiles, and the air buzzed with excitement. The school, painted in vibrant colors, seemed to radiate hope. A banner reading, "Dream Big Academy," hung proudly above the entrance. Dwayne Johnson stood near the ribbon, dressed simply but radiating his signature charisma. As he greeted the crowd, he noticed how their eyes shone with gratitude and anticipation. He started with a heartfelt speech, sharing how his own struggles as a child had shaped his dreams of giving back. "This school isn't just a building," he said, his deep voice resonating across the crowd. "It's a place where you can dream, learn, and believe in yourselves. It's a place where you'll realize that no matter where you come from, you can go anywhere." The villagers erupted into applause, but the real surprise was yet to come. Dwayne turned to the children, a twinkle in his eye. "Now, I've got something special for you all," he said. The children exchanged puzzled glances as he gestured toward a large tarp-covered structure in the corner of the playground. With a dramatic flourish, Dwayne pulled it off, revealing brand-new bicycles lined up in neat rows. The children gasped, their excitement spilling over. "For us?" a boy asked in disbelief, his voice trembling. "For all of you," Dwayne confirmed with a wide grin. "So you can get to school safely and quickly. No more long walks in the heat or rain." The children rushed to the bicycles, their laughter and cheers filling the air. It was a moment of pure joy, and even the adults couldn't hold back their smiles. But Dwayne wasn't done yet. He walked back to the stage and revealed another surprise. Every child in the village would receive a scholarship for their education, covering everything from books to uniforms. The crowd fell silent for a moment, overwhelmed by the generosity. Then, as the realization sank in, the applause grew louder, tears of joy streaming down the faces of parents who had always feared they couldn't provide a better future for their children. One elderly man, the village elder, stepped forward, his voice thick with emotion. "Mr. Johnson," he said, bowing his head slightly, "you've not just built a school, you've built hope. We'll never forget this." Dwayne placed a hand on the elder's shoulder. "Hope is the most powerful thing we have," he replied. "Now let's use it to make dreams come true." The school didn't just transform the lives of the children, it changed the entire village. Local teachers were hired, creating jobs for the community. Parents volunteered to maintain the school, instilling a sense of pride and ownership. The children, who had once walked miles to access education, now walked a few steps to a world of possibilities. News of Dwayne's initiative spread beyond the village, inspiring others. Donations poured in, and neighboring communities began dreaming of similar transformations. Dwayne's single act of kindness became a movement, proving that one person could spark change on a scale few could imagine. Months later, Dwayne returned to the village unannounced. He walked into a classroom and saw the children engrossed in their lessons, their faces lit with curiosity and determination. One of the students, Lucia, stood up and greeted him with a confident smile. "Mr. Johnson," she said, "I've decided what I want to be when I grow up." "And what's that?" he asked, his voice filled with genuine interest. "I want to be an engineer," she said proudly, "so I can build schools like this one for other kids." Dwayne's heart swelled with pride. "You're already on your way, Lucia," he said, "and I have no doubt you'll make it happen." As he left the classroom, Dwayne looked back one last time, his heart full. The laughter of children echoed in the air, a sound more precious than any applause or accolade he had ever received. And in that moment, Dwayne knew that this, changing lives, one act of kindness at a time, was the greatest legacy he could ever leave behind. The story of Dwayne Johnson's school-building initiative in the remote village spread like wildfire. Media outlets around the world picked it up, dubbing him not just a global superstar but also a real-life hero. Social media platforms were flooded with videos and photos of the grand opening, with hashtags like "The Rock Builds Hope" and "Education for All" trending for days. Celebrities and influential figures reached out, praising Dwayne for his selflessness and inspiring many to take action in their own ways. Philanthropic organizations joined hands to fund more schools in underserved areas, citing Dwayne's efforts as a blueprint for change. Even governments took notice. Policies were discussed to prioritize rural education, proving how one small act could snowball into a movement that captured the world's attention. Meanwhile, Dwayne stayed humble. In interviews, he deflected the praise, emphasizing the strength and resilience of the villagers who had worked tirelessly to make the dream a reality. "I just gave them a small push," he would say. "The real heroes are the kids and their families who never gave up on their future." Back in Hollywood, Dwayne's next movie premiere became a fundraiser for rural education projects. Instead of a typical red carpet event, he turned it into an auction, offering memorabilia and experiences to the highest bidders. The proceeds funded 5 more schools in different countries, further solidifying his mission to change lives. Years later, the small village that Dwayne had first visited was unrecognizable. The school had grown into a thriving educational hub, complete with a library, a computer lab, and even a small sports facility. Many of the first students had graduated and gone on to universities, breaking cycles of poverty that had gripped their families for generations. Lucia, the young girl who dreamed of becoming an engineer, fulfilled her promise. She returned to the village as a successful professional, dedicating her life to building schools and infrastructure in remote areas. She often credited Dwayne for igniting the spark that changed her life. One day, as Dwayne sat in his home, now retired from acting but still deeply involved in philanthropy, he received a letter. It was from Lucia. The letter read, "Dear Mr. Johnson, I wanted to thank you once again for believing in us. Today, I inaugurated my 10th school, and I couldn't have done it without the hope you gave me all those years ago. Your kindness didn't just change my life, it changed countless others. You taught me that one act of kindness can create ripples that touch the lives of many. Thank you for teaching us how to dream, and for showing us that with determination, anything is possible. With gratitude, Lucia." Dwayne read the letter, a lump forming in his throat. He folded it carefully and placed it in a drawer filled with mementos from his philanthropic journey. Looking out the window, he thought about the path he had taken, the lives he had touched, and the dreams he had helped nurture. And for the first time in a long while, he felt truly at peace, knowing that his legacy wasn't measured by box office numbers or accolades, but by the lives he had forever changed. The world would remember him as a superstar, but for those in that small village and beyond, he would always be the rock who built hope, one brick at a time.